Welcome back to 2020 Design Tutorial 1, Part 5, where we will be creating a mechanical plan. So as we left off in Part 4, we have our floor plan all done with all our cabinetry in, and now we want to create a mechanical plan. At the bottom of the page, you'll see there are some different tabs here. And we're going to use the architecture tab to create a mechanical plan. So I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to change it to mechanical. To start, click OK. And you can see that there are not any cabinets in here and we need to see them. So if we right click on display settings, and down here for scheme, the scheme set for the architectural tab is architectural. But we're going to go down here and we're going to select lighting and hit apply, and it will show us all of our cabinetry in hidden lines. And while I'm in the display settings, I want to turn off the dimensions for symbols, and symbols um, are what we're going to be adding, or what they're calling the outlets and the switches. So we don't want those dimensioned on this plan. So into plan elements, and you can see I've already unchecked this, but yours will probably be checked off symbol, so you want to uncheck this. So you'll still see the outlets and switches within the plan. They won't be dimensioned. Okay. And now we're ready to add some lighting. So I'm going to put in some pot lights around the perimeter of the kitchen where the cabinets are. And I'm going to find those. I'm going to go to local browser. I'm going to find those in room furniture. You can see here it says lighting fixtures. I'm going to double click on it. Go to recessed, recess spot. I'm going to right click and view in place because I want to change this from black to white so that at the end, when we're doing some renderings, that we don't have a lot of black circles all over the ceiling. So now you can see that it's white. Place it. I'm going to start over here. So when you first put a light in, it will connect itself to the wall in the placement zone, then you put it in. So I'm going to right click so that I can pull it forward. And over on the left-hand side in where it says placement, I want to move it out 20 inches from the wall. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it so that I don't have to change the color again. And I'm going to pull one out to here, and I'm going to distance from the wall. It's 20 again. And I'm going to move these slightly when we do the dimensioning. Duplicate again. This time over the sink, I want to place one about the center. I think maybe center. Duplicate again. One on the edge of this cabinet. And one out here, corner of the cabinetry. Again, excuse me, to put one on the edge beside the stove. Oh, it's already 20. Okay. Now this is the fridge, and this is a pantry cupboard. So I'm going to, for now, put the lighting over top, and then we'll move it out into the floor space in a little bit. We'll get the dimensions done first, and then I'll pull them out into this area. Okay, so now we're going to dimension them. So in annotations at the top, so you want to make sure that this tab is open. I'm going to use the multi-dimension tool, which is on the far left. I'm going to left click to select it. And then I'm bringing my crosshairs over onto the left, or sorry, the right wall. And I know I've selected the wall because I see the green line go from end to end of the wall. I'm going to left click. I'm going to zoom in here, and I want to pick up the vertical crosshair of this light fixture. So I left click here, click here, and I'm scrolling out with my mouse. Let's move this over a bit. Coming in here to this light fixture. And I chose the wall on the left, and now I hit enter, and I have my dimensions here. So I actually clicked when I shouldn't have. I did have the opportunity to drag this whole dimension line out, and I missed that by accidentally clicking when I shouldn't have. So go multi-dimension again, select this wall at the top, and then come through from the top to the bottom again. So selecting now the horizontal line, then the light fixture. And each time I select them, I am left clicking. Enter. And now before clicking, I can drag mouse out, and now I'm going to click to put those in place. So now we're going to clean up these dimension lines so they're not tiny little fractions. So we're going to be using the placement zone, which you see up here. If you look at the top left, there's 3 boxes at the bottom. Make sure that the center one has been selected because it says move. And what we're going to be doing is offsetting these lights. Okay, so let's select the first one. I'm going to tab till we select it. Over here, set, we're going to offset by 2 9/16. And I want to move it closer to the wall on the right. So I'm going to select the tab here on the right to do that. So it gives me the 17 dimension. I'm going to click on the next light, and I'm going to offset it by 11/16, and again, moving it towards the right wall. So in the offset area, I'm going to write 11/16. 16ths. And I want that light moved closer to the wall on the right. Going to select the light over the sink. And I'm going to offset it by 1/16 and moving it again closer to the right, to the next light, offset by 1/8. And this time, because I want both of these to be 17.5, I'm going to move towards the left. So I'm going to select this tab button on the left here. So there we have 1.5. Tab to select the light. And my offset is 2 9/16. And I'm going to be going towards the right. Okay, so we have that run done. This is showing that these are all 20 inches off the wall. I'm going to create one for this light. So I'm just going to use line to line. I don't need multiple dimensions. Select here. I'm down to select the horizontal line. And I want to offset this as well. So I'm going to select this light, go over to the offset area, and I'm going to offset it by 3/16. And I'm going to bring it out towards the front of the sink. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to come down and do these ones. So this one's already done at 20, so we're good there. I'm going to select this one by the stove. And I'm going to offset this one by 3/16. I just have the blue wheel, so I'm just waiting for it to update before I move on. And I'm going to move it towards this wall, so I want to select the upper button, moving it to 23. I'm good with 38.5. So this light is fine. And then I'm going to come down to this light over the fridge, tab to select it. I'm going to put in a 1/4 inch. Now we're going to end up with a 1/4 inch dimension because this wall is 158 3/4 and we already have a 1/2 inch dimension here. So we are going to end up with a 1/4 inch dimension, but I'm going to force it down to the last light. And I'm going to select this light and I want to offset it by 5/8. And I'm going to move it closer to the wall at the bottom. That's not the way I wanted to go. I wanted to go the other way. There we go. So did you see what I did there? I moved it towards the bottom. I didn't calculate my math correctly. And really what I wanted was this dimension to be 25 inches. So I needed to select the top button here. Okay. So there are all our centerline dimensions. Let's add some CLs to those. So I'm in my local browser using the drop-down menu, going to Room, going to Symbols, scrolling to the bottom where it says Miscellaneous Symbols, and here is where I'm going to pick up my center lines. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. I'm going to move these lights out. So I'm going to select this, drag it in and out. I just want it just in front of the cabinet so that when the doors are open here, that someone standing here can see inside the cabinet. Take a light for the refrigerator and do the same thing. And then I'm going to grab these dimensions. Pull them in a bit, and then I'm going to take my extension lines and move them. And just to tidy it up a bit, I'm going to move these dimension lines just slightly to the right. So when I drag this one in, oh, okay. It's this one that has the long extend line. So I just want to pull this out. There we go. Okay, center lines or CLs. So I'm just going to quickly add them across here. So I'm left clicking to grab it and then releasing to place it. And what else do we have here for here? And this one. Okay, so let's add some switches and outlets. So we're back in room and in symbols. I'm waiting again for the blue circle to finish. There we go. So let's place some outlets. Always looking in the kitchen for GFC eyes. So I'm gonna start placing them around here. And you can see that the label has not been turned on. So I'm gonna right click, go to display settings, and here where it says label and display, I'm gonna check it. And then the GFCI is on. So instead of turning it on for each one, I'm then going to tab to select this and duplicate. And make a copy of it. There we go. So there are our outlets and switches. It's going to click on symbols and then go down to where it says switch outlets. And I'm going to use some three-way dimmers. So I want to put a switch here that turns on these perimeter um, lights if you come in through the doorway here. And also I'm going to put one here so that you can turn them on if you're standing at the sink and you want some more light in the room. Add this here. And again, I'm going to turn on the label so that we can see that it's a three-way. And I'm going to place some here. And I didn't duplicate it, so I have to turn the label on. Okay, so you can see those three. And then I'm going to add just a regular switch, but a dimmer switch for the light over the sink. Okay, connect lines. I'm going to use in annotations, I'm going to use this elliptical arc. So I'm going to select it, come here from this switch and go to this light. And then after I left click it into place, without any right or left clicking, I can move this to create an arc. I'm going to select it again. Now you may choose to change the colors of these so they show up better. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And I'm not going to choose the one over the sink because it has its own switch. And we're going to finish it at this switch. Okay, so if you zoom in, you can see that these have crossed over. So if I select this one, I have a little bit of play with it. And so here's a note, something to make note of. These CAD lines, think they are so even though I've actually selected this one and it shows that I have, when I come in here, it wants to take that top one. So I'm going to grab this one first and move it down a bit. And then bring this one down in here. Looks like I made a bit of a mess up top. Just waiting for the update to finish. So you'll know you've selected it when you see the green dots on it. And I'm just going to bring this one down. Bring this one back over. Okay, so if you wanted to change the color, you would click on one, right click, go to display settings, and here's where you can change the color. So if you want it to stand out, you can change it to red. So you would just go through and change the colors if that's what you wanted to do. And I'm going to add one connect for this spotlight over the sink. So selecting this fixture, bringing it out, and I see that it does not say dimmer. So I'm going to tab through to select this light, switch, go to display settings, turn on the label, click OK. There we go. There's a dimmer. And I'm going to select it again and just move it slightly. Okay, so let's add a legend. So I'm going to, from the symbols menu, I'm going to place switches And I'm going to grab an outlet. Actually, I'm just going to go in here and grab this outlet and copy it. And the same with the lighting. Going to turn on the label. These two. There we go. Now up here, we're in annotations, add note. Add mechanical legend. Click OK. And I'm going to right click, go to display settings, and click on font and bold it. Just make it a little bit bigger. Oh, that's probably a little bit too big. Go. So I've added that first. And now I'm going to click to add another note. And this time I'm going to add a 1 for quantity and put timer switch. Now I'm going to tab down a few rows. And I have 2. Freeway. Timer switches. I have 4 GFCI outlets. And I have 9 spotlights. So I've left space here, hoping that it'll line up beside the symbols. Almost does. So I'll just move these a bit. Try to line them up so that they're even. And because I've put it all in one note, when I select this, I can I move all the text at the same time. Okay, next thing I can do is if I right click on the outside and encompass everything, and then right click again, I can group these items. So now they're all grouped so that if I want to select them to move them, then I get everything. So that's always a good idea because sometimes you just need to reposition your text. And I'm going to add here at the bottom a reference title. Okay, and I want this larger. So font, bold, 12. Underline it. Okay, and okay. And I'm going to add another note underneath the scale. And just select to reposition it. And there we are. There is So that's it for part 5 mechanical plan. Join me for part 6, where we'll be creating some renderings, changing the colors of the cabinets, and doing some more text.